And welcome to a new episode of Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. And I'm your host, Brett Deister. If you please subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps, leave a 5-star review. Really just help with the rankings and let me know how I am doing. And sorry, it's been a little while. Went on vacation and then I got sick. So it was kind of an extended form of, well, it just wasn't what I was expecting. But anyways, we're going to be talking about the unfortunate death of the chief engineer of the Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall. We're going to be talking about Battlefield 6 and the reveal because it wasn't really quite what I was thinking it was going to be. And then Obsidian and Outer Worlds 2, GreedFall developer, Spider, and more layoffs. There's going to be a new retro 95 desktop design. Splitgate 2 is going back to beta. And Ubisoft, just the CEO can just really not be quiet about things. It's very weird. Also, we're going to talk about Clive Barker's new Hellraiser revival, and then really just honing in on like what I'm hoping Battlefield 6 is going to be, because I'm not really quite sure if it's going to be good or not. But anyways, let's get on with the show. That's good. I hope you're having a fantastic start of your weekend. But first off is going to be that Julian Lafe, the chief engineer of Elder Scrolls 2 Daggerfall, has died at the age of 59. He passed away from cancer, unfortunately. He was known as the father of the Elder Scrolls series, and he recently stepped back from gaming development because of the cancer diagnosis. It is very sad and unfortunate that this actually happened. He was like one of the founding members, basically, of Bethesda, and he helped create the Elder Scrolls, or was the father of it. So he created like one of the best RPG series we have out there in gaming. So, I mean, it's just sad all around, especially from cancer. That's just rough. And that he unfortunately had to step back just because of the cancer diagnosis. So it's all around unfortunate. All right, moving on to Battlefield 6. And, well, the trailer reveal was just the campaign, which, I mean, I guess is interesting. Apparently it's U.S. against a paramilitary outfit or a private military outfit, and there's planes crashing, there's explosions everywhere. I mean, it's just a normal, like, almost Call of Duty like single player campaign, but really nothing new. It was all scripted. It was all CGI script, basically just non-gameplay trailer. Very annoying because I just don't care about it. I mean, it was all nice and it was all like explosions and rah, rah, rah. This is the Battlefield campaign, but there was really nothing new. Unfortunately, the real thing we care about, the multiplayer reveal, will be July 31st, which is next week. But we really didn't get anything new or anything really relevant. Supposedly the multiplayer open beta will be, I think, August 1st, but we'll see if that actually happens. But I really wasn't too impressed, to be honest with you. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, the campaign, you play once, then you go to the multiplayer. You may play again, but you mostly just play it once. Maybe a few times if it's actually good, but most of the time it's not that good. All right, Obsidian has finally announced that the Outer Worlds 2 will be price dropped from $80 to $70. Yes, because everybody was just kind of like scratching their head on like, why is this so expensive? Why can't you just not always raise prices? I understand that Nintendo did it, and I don't think it's a good course of action, to be honest with you. They keep on saying, well, production cost is getting higher. I'm like, well, then don't have so many people. Because eventually when you get too big, you're going to have some lazy people that don't do as much work as the other ones. It happens in every group. We all know this, but we'll see what happens with this, if it's actually going to be good or as good as the first one, or if it's just not really going to be great. I mean, Obsidian created Avowed, which I didn't even touch because it just something I just didn't want to play because of just kind of the inserting of ideologies that I don't agree with, and usually is pretty bad in general. So I was kind of like, I'm just not going to even play with this game. I just don't care. And it just didn't seem like it was a great game. It seemed like it was missing a lot of features that a lot of modern RPGs have that it didn't have. So it was a really weird game, but it did okay. I think they made back their money, but I don't think it wasn't like skyrocketing off the charts. It probably was up there for a bit and then it fell down on the Steam charts. So we'll see if they'll make a vow 2. Maybe, maybe not, but it happens. All right, so continuing the trend of just terrible news, Spider, the developer of GreedFall, has laid off most of its animation team. Lead animator Erwin Perrin announced the layoffs on LinkedIn, stating the company is proceeding with the layoffs plan affecting the animation and rig team. Perrin mentioned that there is a need for talented animators and rig artists based in Paris. The layoffs at Spider are part of a broader trend in the industry, with other companies like Warner Brothers also experiencing layoffs, such as the shutdown of Monolith. So, I mean, it happens. It's not great. I don't like seeing people being laid off, but it is also kind of a course correction on what's been happening the past few years. COVID really just kind of like pumped a lot of money into gaming companies because they were doing so well, but playtime has been down this year. People are not really spending as much time gaming just because the games aren't great. And if we're going to play games, we'd rather just play the old games anyways, because at least we know that it's good. But it's not going very well. I mean, the newest one I was actually mildly excited about was the RoboCop DLC, because the RoboCop game was actually good. And the next game I'm excited about is Metal Gear Solid or Snake Eater, whatever, the remake of the old one from the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. And that's really about it. I really can't say anything else. I mean, maybe Battlefield 6, but even then I'm very cautious about it because of 2042. And a lot of Battlefield players are cautious about this one because we're like, you guys have not done very well the past few ones. Battlefield 5 did not do very well when it first launched. The newest one did even worse than Battlefield 5. Battlefield 1 was kind of the last great Battlefield launch, and it actually launched better than Battlefield 4, which was a terrible launch and took about a year to fix all the issues online. Now we have Battlefield 6 with back and forth of oh, it's great. Oh, it's not so great with this area. Oh, they're doing great thing with this, bringing it back. Oh, they're not really doing it. They're kind of doing this one. Oh, there's going to be Battle Royale, which do not care about, whatever. And then the reports of EA wants 100 million off of this one, or 100 million players or something like that. It's an astronomical where they've never actually hit that, but EA wants that now because of all the resources they put into it. They have 5 different developers in it. So it's just not a good time in gaming, no matter what part of the industry you're in. It's just going to be pain until y'all figure out what we want in a game. And it's good, fun gameplay, good design, and stop pushing the woke non-binary stuff because we don't want that at all. Just stop in general, full stop. Just don't do it anymore. Leave your weird ideas to yourself. All right, moving on to Main Gear, and has announced the Retro 95 Limited Edition PC. It is basically a design from the 90s era, the more blocky, the more gray, beige time. So if you're really wanting to do that, I guess more power to you. I'm all for nostalgia, but sometimes I'm really that nostalgia? I mean, the cases nowadays look a lot more clean, a lot more pretty to me than the actual retro stuff. But I guess for those that either want to relive that or never experience it, maybe something for you. But I mean, it was kind of harking back to the old days of LAN parties, floppy disks, and dial-up, which not all of it was great. I mean, floppy disks were fine, but there's like 3 different versions of floppy disks. This version of floppy disk is really more the basically the floppy disk was inside the plastic housing that most people remember, but there were bigger floppy disks that were actually floppy, and then there was another bigger one that was bigger than the other floppy disk. So that's where we're at right now. But if you're looking for it, it does have CPU options of AMD or Intel up to a Ryzen 7 9800X3D, the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080 graphics card, up to 96 gigs of DDR5 memory, 8 terabytes of Gen 4 NVMe storage, Noctua fans, and an 850 watt PSU. The retro design with modern thermals and whisper quiet air cooling. So it's not quite the nostalgia you're thinking of, because those nostalgia days were very loud fans. They got loud. Anyways, moving on to Splitgate 2. It is back in beta after less than 2 months of its official launch. And also the studio is taking the original Splitgate offline and laying off all the staff members, which is 45 people affected, according to IGN. The studio admitted to having exited the sequel initial beta too early, citing rushed features and mistakes. The rebuilding phase of Splitgate 2 will last until early next year, during which the game will remain playable. The studio plans to rework areas including progression, add more portals to maps, and simplify monetization. Splitgate 2 has a current 24-hour player base of 1,706 on Steam, with an all-time peak of 25,785. But player numbers have been declining. Yeah. And then it also had an issue with their microtransaction, where it was originally really priced at like basically $80, and they brought it back down to $40. I think it was even above $100. Everybody's like, what are you doing? But it's funny because there's a lot of missteps. He did make FPS games great again at the Game Awards. People got mad and he apologized, and I was like, never apologize for this, which I'm pretty sure pissed people off. And then the game kind of wasn't where it was supposed to be, so that has an issue. They also launched a battle royale, because that's the popular thing to do now, is to launch a battle royale with your other more inventive game. So what we have here is, well, yeah, they should have just left it in beta for a while. They knew better, but I think they just wanted to get it out and have it in players' hands and then fix it along the way, which unfortunately is a lot of problems with a lot of developers. It's good enough, let's just fix it along the way, and gamers will just continue to be part of our process. And I'm like, no, they won't. If you give a bad experience, players will move on. And they'll move on quickly, and then they'll forget about you, because why would I want to spend time or wait for you to fix your game when it's until next year, when it will finally be rebuilt? That's not a good thing to do, and there's no reason why I should stay on that whatsoever. I got the finals. That's still a really great game, and they've done a great job of updating that game. Man, they just have a new destruction system where the buildings actually topple over. Well, most of them, for the most part. I don't think all of them do. But they have new maps, new destruction, and they're going to be adding more destruction to this because it's old Battlefield devs, so they know what to talk about when it comes to destruction, which EA should never let them go. Bad mistake, EA. So you have that one. You have Marvel Rivals. You have Overwatch 2 with its stadium. I mean, you have a lot of options, and you're going to get lost in the mix if you cannot figure this out, and I don't think you're going to last very long, unfortunately. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but that's where we're at. All right, moving on to Ubisoft, because they really just cannot shut up. Really need to sometimes. Okay, Ubisoft is facing a lawsuit related to the shutdown of the servers for the game The Crew last year. During a shareholder meeting, the Ubisoft CEO was asked about the Stop Killing Games movement. He said that games are not meant to last forever. And acknowledged that support for all games cannot continue indefinitely. Well, you could have a single player mode. That will make it last quote unquote forever, or give it to GOG to have it do a better job of that. The Stop Killing Game movement was initiated by YouTube host Ross Scott in response to Ubisoft's decision to sunset the crew. The movement questions the legality of ethics of publishers shutting down games that have been sold to customers. Video Games Europe, a lobbying association, responded to the movement, arguing that its proposal could make developing video games prohibitively expensive. Well, that's why you add a single-player mode or an offline mode. An offline mode will not allow you to have servers where you can just have the game there and they could play with AI. It doesn't always have to be multiplayer features. I understand that gets expensive and when you sunset games, but when you sunset games and you're saying burn all your copies or destroy all your copies, that's just stupid. That's incredibly stupid. And that's what Ubisoft wants to do because they're like, oh, not making enough money. I guess we'll just shut down the game less than a year into it. Everybody's like, well, it's a free to play. No one cares. But if you're actually spending money to play this game, you should have a right to play it as long as you want. Not, oh, sorry, we're going to end the server so you can't play this game anymore. It's like, well, then have an offline mode. It's not, I'm pretty sure it's not that expensive to do an offline mode. Ubisoft, since you spend $100 million on Assassin's Creed Shadows, which is arguably not a great game, or you spend a lot of money on Star Wars Outlaws and then you sunset it pretty quickly because it didn't make you any money. And it's not that good of a game. It finally got good when the last update, they finally added where you could actually shoot your blaster on your speeder. And I'm like, that should have been added in the beginning of when the game released. It just didn't make any sense. All right. Speaking of Star Wars Outlaws, he also talked about, well, he blamed Lucasfilms and Disney on it, which is kind of funny because, yes, in part it is their fault, but he said Star Wars Outlaws did not meet sales targets despite being described as a decent game with post-launch support. Yeah, no one really liked it that much. If it was a decent game, you would have had a decent profit. You didn't even have a decent profit. You had an abysmal profit. Like, you cut that game so quickly on sales, it was really funny. He also mentioned the game was released at a time when Star Wars brand was facing challenges, citing the cancellation of the Acolyte series and the release of multiple shows in 2024. He acknowledged that Outlaws had some issues at launch that affected its sales, but improvements were made shortly after release. Ubisoft decided to delay the release of Assassin's Creed Shadows due to lessons learned from Outlaws. The article notes that Disney has ended exclusive deals over Star Wars license, leading to increased competition in the market. So here's the thing. Yes, Star Wars is not of a shining example of a good brand. No, it was not solely the fault that happened. You have a lot to blame for that as well, which is funny that you don't mention how terrible and how toxic Ubisoft is as a brand. First of all, you create a character that arguably looked more masculine than feminine, but it was a female. So it was a very confusing thing for me. The story was okay. I mean, it was nothing to write home about. It was decent enough. The DLCs were okay. I mean, it will get you to play if you really, 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 really want to play. The only interesting thing was kind of like the learning of your abilities was the only interesting part about the game. The AI was abysmal when it launched. You could not fire your blaster on a speeder unless you got that stupid like unlock thing where it was almost Deadeye on your speeder. And it got pretty repetitive after a while. So, I mean, why would you care? Yeah, the DLC update was okay, and it added more missions for you, but I mean, the missions are eventually going to get repetitive at the same time too. So what you did is you sunset it, but when it first initially launched, like the stealth part was basically forced upon you, which was weird that you couldn't actually like not stealth, but you had to do stealth or it would basically you would fail. I kind of liked the cartel's like vying for their reputation, but it was easy to like get bad reputation and then get up to good. I mean, backstabbing was just, it didn't really matter. There was no consequences. So why not backstab every once in a while and then get it up to an excellent again? And then it was too easy. I mean, it should have been more of like choose one type of a thing or backstab and choose the other one. But you could just be an excellent rating with all of them, and why not? Because then you could walk around the bases, do the things you need to, and not worry about it. It was half thought out, most of it, except for the skills. That was probably the best thing about it, and the rest of it was okay. So no, it wasn't just Disney's fault. It was your fault too. Because Disney did not make the game, Ubisoft. You did. It's just, I don't understand. Also, another fun thing that the Ubisoft CEO said, he said that microtransactions make games experience more fun. No, they don't. Not any gamer has ever said, oh man, this microtransaction makes this game more fun. Who in their right mind has actually ever said that stupid thing? I've never heard anybody going, man, I hope they put microtransaction into a premium game. It's going to be so much fun. No, nobody has ever said that. Not once. Stop it. I've never heard anybody ever say that. Mention that. It is not true. But, you like it because it helps you bring in more money. That's why you like it. Let's be clear. You like it, CEO of Ubisoft. The players do not. Because if it's a premium game, you're adding microtransaction, then it's like, what's the point of the premium price? You might as well just make it free. And then we'll understand that. But you can't even do free to play right. Look at X Defiant. Pulled that plug too early. All right. And the next thing, because Ubisoft cannot stop with its brain dead decisions. So Ubisoft has appointed 2 people as co-CEOs for the new subsidiary, and one of it's the CEO's kid. So there's no nepotism here whatsoever. These are just the people that are the best and brightest to lead Ubisoft into oblivion. So his son he began his career in Owlent in 2014, a studio acquired by Ubisoft, and returned to Ubisoft in 2025 to join its transformation committee. And the other co-CEO co-founded Ubisoft Montreal Studio in 1997, was previously the managing director for North America. The new subsidiary is intended to foster an environment that allows teams to take creative and technical risks. Yeah, sure. Ubisoft, you're not known for taking any risks for a while. Your last risk was Assassin's Creed, the original, and that was the last risk you ever took. Even Origins was a ripoff from The Witcher 3. You took a lot of liberties on that. You took mostly what made The Witcher 3 good, and you just basically put it into Assassin's Creed Origins. Because when I first played it, I'm like, why am I playing Witcher 3 again? Might as well just go play Witcher 3. And it took me forever to beat it, because I'm like, why am I playing The Witcher 3? But I mean, the Ubisoft CEO said that it's not about nepotism, but emphasized that his appointment is based on his experience and the needs of Ubisoft about his son. Yeah, Yeah. Mm-hmm. Nobody believes that one. That's just you going, look, I'm saving my butt. I'm saying things that really don't exist or make sense. All right, and it's also been confirmed by Ubisoft that the new Ghost Recon game is in development, making the first entry since 2019 Ghost Recon Breakpoint. The CEO of Ubisoft discussed the company's strategy regarding live service games during a shareholders meeting, highlighting the success of Rainbow Six Siege. Oh, dear God, please do not make it a Rainbow Six Siege knockoff. We don't need another one of the... He stated the goal is to enhance current experience and capitalize on upcoming launches, including Ghost Recon. The CFO of Ubisoft mentioned the investment from Tencent will support the development of major brands, including Ghost Recon. Rumors about a new Ghost Recon game have been circulating since at least 2021, with development purportedly under the codename Over, because it's over. The previous Ghost Recon game, Wildlands and Breakpoint, were primarily third-person shooters, and this one looks like it's going to be a first-person shooter, maybe, but we'll see. We'll see. So all in all, Ubisoft, what? Like half of the things you said would just made no sense, and even less if it was true. Yes, you did nepotism. Let's just be perfectly clear. It's family and it's your kid, and you want your kid to be successful in everything, and so you help them out all the time. Second of all, no one cares about microtransaction. It doesn't quote unquote make it more fun. It makes it more fun for you because you get more money. And third, Star Wars Outlaw was your fault. Yes, the brand is somewhat toxic and or helped it a little bit more, making it less, but man, you guys were not any better. So yeah, cut the crap. All right, moving on to Clive Barker's Hellraiser Revival, which I saw the trailer of and I was like, oh, this is a very mature game. So yes, it is very, very horror, very, very gory, and very, very mature. There was actually nudity in the trailer, which was interesting, and just a lot of grotesque, horrific things. So if you're into that, this is the game for you. All right, moving on to my hopes for Battlefield 6. The trailer was released, and it was basically just the campaign trailer, which is a letdown because it was all scripted. There was no gameplay trailer whatsoever, or at least what I saw. It was all just about the story, which is fine, but even then, the story was not really showcased. Apparently, it's going to be the U.S. against the private military or paramilitary, so we'll see where that actually lands us and what that actually does. Looks like there was no quote-unquote heroes in it, but like I said, there really wasn't much shown, so I can't really say much about it. But my hope is when the reveal of the multiplayer trailer for Battlefield 6 on July 31st, my hope is the return to what made Battlefield great. Destruction, class system, and objectives. That's really the main thing about it. Yes, there's all out warfare. 120 players can still work, but you have to actually make good maps for it to work. It can still work, but like I said, maps have to be really, really good. A lot of times they're not, and that's what made Battlefield 2042 not so good. But they're not going to do that anymore, which is fine. Looks like the destruction is back in the forefront because 2042 did not have really that much destruction. Yeah, you could blow up the spaceship on whatever that map was called. I don't remember. I don't even remember the names of the maps in 2042 because it doesn't really matter. So destruction's back. You can actually like create your own pathing, which I think is very cool and something that is needed in this to kind of push it forward. Now, what are we going to see in classes? I hope at least 4: support, engineer, sniper, and assault. Maybe 5 medic. 4 to 5 is pretty good. You can go more if you wanted to, but 4 to 5 is a pretty good balance for that. No weapon swapping between them would be helpful, and no real gears or like equipment should be very class specific because we had an issue with 2042 when it was just crazy to do a vehicle just because anybody could have a rocket launcher, and it got crazy. So I'm hoping for the return of class specific, teamwork oriented type of game. It doesn't always happen with teamwork a lot of times, but at least knowing what class you need to be successful will be very beneficial. No more operators or heroes. We don't need that. Just do it as a faceless, nameless soldier. We're fine with that. And my big hope, do not go down the Call of Duty route of all these weird collaborations with companies like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, weird, like, I don't know, the Family Guy, like all the weird ones where I'm like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Just don't go down that route. If you want to go down that route with collaborations, do collaborations with like war movies or like war dramas or something to that matter where it makes sense. Because a lot of times they don't make sense and it's weird. Don't be Fortnite. And if you're gonna make a battle royale, fine. I don't like them very much. They played out, just like extraction shooters are about played out. Now, it probably would have worked a little bit better with this one, but you actually have to make something interesting out of this traction shooter. It just can't be your run of the mill. But I have a feeling even the battle royale is going to be leaning more towards Warzone than it probably should be. But make a new multiplayer mode and stop chasing trends, for the love of God. Like, you used to be good. Like Rush was kind of a new thing. Like Breakpoint, like this all made more sense. Yeah, you tried Battle Royale once, Firestorm on Battlefield 5, and it didn't go anywhere. It wasn't free to play, so that didn't help it, but it didn't go anywhere. Because Battlefield players just want to play Battlefield. Like, give us all-out warfare. Give us, like, tools to be better equipped to handle the things that are happening on the battlefield. Give us better, like, proximity chat. Give us that type of thing. Just stop adding features that just make no sense. But anyways, what do you think? Do you think I'm completely crazy, or do you think that I agree with me on what needs to be happening in Battlefield 6? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for listening to Digital Coffee Gaming Brew. Really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to this podcast on all your favorite podcasting apps. If a 5-star review really just help with the rankings. And let me know how I'm doing. And join me next week to talk about what's going on in the PC gaming industry. All right, guys, stay safe. Get to playing the games that you want to play with. And find joy in microtransactions. No, just don't do that at all. The CEO of Ubisoft is crazy. And see you next week. Later.